Hey, what's up, guys? So with the wipe coming hopefully soon, I wanted to make this video. It's been something I've been thinking about and planning for a bit. There's a million like super good guides out there, on stuff like how to level, what quests to do, in what order to complete them, all that stuff. So kind of rather than add on to that mountain of existing knowledge, I wanted to approach the question of like the low-level loadout strategy. Like I normally do, kind of from a slightly different perspective, with a few uncommon considerations. So the info here should apply to brand new players to the game, whether it's day one and you've never played before at all, or to experienced players, after a wipe or an account reset. Tons of players can tell you what guns or ammo to use and what's best, but very few can explain why. So what I wanted to do was dig in a bit deeper into the details so that we can all become a bit more educated on the thought process that experienced players use to build their loadouts at early levels. Now this is particularly important to me because rather than the need to record a new video for every single tweak the devs make to things like blunt damage, ammo, prices, rebalances, item availability, the economy, stuff like that, I can outline the why rather than the what. And then that gives you the knowledge to be able to apply the reasoning forever into the future, regardless of whatever changes the devs make to the game. I'm trying to teach you guys, how to fish here. So that being said, let's hop right into it. All right, so the first loadout I'm going to be showing you guys is arguably one of the most iconic level 1 loadouts in the game. A stock SKS, scav vest, no armor, DS ammo, Balaclava. In the hands of a skilled player, this loadout can no bullshit be viable even into the late game against fully geared guys level 50, level 60. This is one of the classics for sure. The SKS is arguably the best rifle to run stock in the game, in my opinion. It's extremely accurate, and from level 1 with PS ammo and with well-placed shots, you can drop fully armored, fort fast guys in 1 or 2 shots. At level 1, this is honestly, I think, the best rifle option in the game, especially considering that recently the Vepr 136 is no longer available at the start. At level 1, this is as close as you can get to a glass cannon build. Because of the extremely short time to kill in Tarkov, even when you're fully armored, you're going to want to play extremely smart with this loadout. You can still be one-tapped by a Taz Scav, the chest or in the face, or even a USEC with a Makarov. What makes this build so powerful is its accuracy, effective range, and the ability to take down somebody with good armor and a helmet if you're lucky, or depending on how you look at it, unlucky enough to encounter one early off in the season. Alrighty, so what does this loadout include and why is it set up this way? Of course we have the, SKS with a mag loaded with 7.62 PS ammo, as well as 1 in the chamber. It's a simple little thing that lots of people don't think about, but I always recommend putting 1 in the chamber before you load into a raid. I don't know how many times I've spawned in and immediately heard somebody nearby chambering their first round. So that's the first thing that me and anybody else nearby that heard that is going to be going after. So don't be that guy. So now included with the SKS is 2 mags, fully loaded with PS ammo, 1 in the vest, and 1 in the sling. So having 1 in the vest, 1 in the sling allows you to avoid dropping a mag when reloading, and you'll have plenty of time to quickly swap the mags between the vest and the pouch, in a pinch should the situation arise where you need to, go through 40 to 60 rounds in one engagement before you're able to have time to reload. So how and where you bind your meds is up to you, but for most raids, I recommend carrying at the very least 2 AI2s, 2 painkillers, and 2 bandages. I prefer to keep my meds in my pockets instead of my vest, because if I ever need to swap vests in a hurry with someone I'm looting, I don't have to worry about needing to rebind the meds and, inspecting the contents of the vest before I'm able to reuse those meds. So when choosing what to protect and what not to, you're going to want to prioritize rare and valuable items. Now in this case, nothing you have is rare, so in order to mitigate your losses as much as possible should you die, you should protect as much as you can based on value per slot. But really, the only options here are your extra meds and ammo. So I would protect those in your alpha case or your gamma case or whatever until you need them, or you find something more valuable. So one of the kind of min-maxy things I like to get into the habit of is ordering the items in my alpha container in kind of a set regular order. In this case, it's from top left down to bottom right, in order of value per slot. So if I happen to find something, more valuable, I don't have to spend any time thinking about what to replace. I can just quickly replace the least valuable items with the new, more valuable item. Now, my reasoning behind having 2 of each meds is pretty straightforward. Painkillers last 5 minutes each, so if I happen to get in multiple firefights and need to use both painkillers, 10 minutes should be enough, typically to loot my kills to grab some meds from them, or relocate to a nearby loot area to find some more medication. So take more or less depending on your use case. If you're playing woods, there's not really a whole lot of places where meds spawn, and the map is pretty huge. And there's not a whole lot of cover and stuff like that, so you're going to want to avoid needing, to limp around for 30 minutes just to be able to extract. So given that painkillers are the most value per slot in this build, I'd consider replacing the stack of ammo and bandages with extra painkillers, just to be safe. You should always consider the trade-offs that you're making. If you end up getting lucky and killing a super geared guy and, you're rolling with a fort and Val or, a nice rig or whatever, you don't want to risk all of those items by running out of meds. If you think about it, losing hundreds of thousands of rubles worth of gear because you were too afraid, to take 2 extra painkillers in lieu of, risking the, 5,000 rubles you spent on bandage and some extra ammo. Is it really worth it? You want to keep those things in mind. All right, so the last thing worth mentioning here is, why the Balaclava? I'm not just trying to cosplay here as Scav with an M4. I honestly think that the couple grand you're going to spend on the Balaclava is worth it, because what it does is it makes it so that your ugly ass USEC head that stands out like a fucking shining beam of light in the darkness is a little bit harder to see. But also a side benefit is that you looking at this player right now, you actually can't tell super easily whether it's a USEC or a Scav. And a lot of people tend to play pretty, loosely against Scavs. They might not think that you're as much of a threat as you are. So, like I said, I think the 2 grand is worth spending on the Balaclava. And also it'll help you, level up Ragman early, because there's not really a whole lot of stuff you're going to be buying and selling to him at first. So being able to spend the money on the vest, the Balaclava, and the sling bag to have, bring a little bit more loot out with you is for sure worth the 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,000 rubles, in my opinion. So just for shits and giggles, let's actually take this loadout out into a factory run and see what we can do. This isn't shouldn't be anything scientific or objective or whatever. This is more of just kind of a fun little experiment to see what you can do with a loadout like this, good or bad. So let's give it a try.
Time to get out. It's good to go.
Alright, so if you do a tally of all the items that you purchase, assuming you start from scratch with nothing, you're going to be spending a little bit over 75,000 rubles. Ignore that this is in dollars. I couldn't figure out how to change it to rubles. Don't at me in the comments, please. Christ. 62,000 of the 75,000 are essentially at risk, quote unquote. So these are the items that aren't in your protector case. So, they could potentially be taken by, scavs or other PMCs if they were to find your dead body and grab all the stuff from you. So it's also interesting to look at a breakdown percentage-wise of the value that each item in this loadout has compared to the rest of the items in the loadout. So obviously when you're low level and you have a gun with no attachments and you're not wearing armor, helmet, anything like that, the majority of the value gets taken up by the gun, the ammo, and the meds. So keep that in mind too. If you happen to kill somebody that's another low level player, you should be grabbing their gun and their rig and meds, and ammo. That's going to be the most bang for your buck when it comes to looting, and those are going to be the things that you're going to want to protect, as much as possible. All right, so the next loadout that we'll be taking a look at for comparison is the infamous Mosin Man. Don't make me sing the song, Christ, please. Don't make me sing the song. So this ends up being similar in a lot of ways, with a few minor differences. One being that because, the Mosin you end up loading, round by round, doesn't take magazines. You actually don't need a rig at all. So you can save some money on the mags, you can save some money on the rig. And the other benefit is that you can take a larger portion of the ammo and actually protect it. And you'll end up needing less ammo just by virtue of the fact that it's a bolt action rifle. So you're gonna have to play a little bit differently, potentially a little bit slower, and choose your shots carefully, because you're not going to be able to have the kind of rounds per minute that the SKS had. But the Mosin, as it is right now, is able to 1 or 2 tap pretty much most gear loadouts in the game, assuming that you place your shots intelligently. So like I said, you're gonna have to take your time, play slow, play smart. But you end up saving a little bit more money if you take a look at the price comparison. It ends up being about 62,000 rubles, with 48,000 of those rubles being at risk, assuming that you're able to protect about 3/4 of your ammo. You're just going to have to remember that you need to drag up your ammo from your protector case if you end up running low in your pockets. The same sort of distribution, as you can see, between gun, ammo, and meds. But overall, you end up being basically, what is that, 14,000 rubles less you're saving. So that might be considerable if you are running low on money, and 14,000 rubles is a larger chunk of change. You should definitely give that a shot.
No, please.
Fuck you! You heard!
Yeah, let's be honest. That guy was a fucking potato. Oh my god. All right, so one more loadout option, very similar to the last one, except it's replacing the Mosin and the ammo with the MR133 pump action shotgun, and buckshot. The buckshot is pretty dirt cheap, so I honestly don't even think it's worth protecting. And the MR133 is a little bit less expensive than the Mosin counterpart. So if you take a look at the price breakdown, you end up dropping from 48 grand at risk all the way down to 35. So it's like another 13,000 rubles that you're saving by going with the 133. Although the big risk here is that the buckshot, until we see what happens with blunt damage and how that's all handled, it's you're gonna have issues running against fully geared guys with face masks, Altons, or even like a Kiver with a face mask like Scav Boss. You could potentially run into some issues where you're gonna have to either aim for the legs or have a lot of well-placed shots in the face. So just keep that in mind, and that it honestly might not be worth risking all of this basically just to save 10,000-15,000 rubles. So just keep that in mind. As we have done before, let's go ahead and see how this boy performs in factory.
Gonna kill you all, bastards!
Maybe I spoke too soon about it being too hard to kill fully geared guys with the shotgun. Alright, cool. So, to summarize, I showed you guys 3 builds. One was an SKS build, one was a Mosin build, and one was the MR133 pump-action shotgun build that I think are all extremely viable, strong, like day 1, level 1 builds. The types of builds that you're going to want to take out every raid, starting from your first raid, going onward until you start to level up your traders past level 1, and start to do quests and unlock things like the car med kit and other things like that. I plan on doing a few more videos, for kind of a progression along these lines. We'll see how it goes. I might wait until after the wipe because there's probably going to be some new items, some new trades, maybe the marketplace, the auction house or whatever is going to open up. I'm going to want to probably keep that in mind. But overall, you're going to be looking to spend, 35 to 75,000 rubles to have a fairly decent kit, on day 1, and that's at least what I would recommend. Your mileage may vary, your preferences may vary. You can go out there with no meds and a pistol with 1 mag and walk out of there with a fort armor. That happens. But the builds that I explained, that I showed you guys, I think are strong. They're consistent. They're kind of, battle tested and proven. So I hope this was interesting, useful, helpful, entertaining, whatever. I wish you guys best of luck when the wipe comes. Hopefully it's soon, and I'll see you guys out there. See you later.